What's up, everybody? Let's go. We be exploring Washington, D.C. I've actually been to Washington, D.C. several times, so I still won't be able to help anything, but, at least I'm roughly familiar with it. How's it going? Hope everyone is having a nice day. You can go anywhere in the world. I've been to Washington State, and I assume it's basically the same, says Sub Hedgehog. That is not true, but you know what? Not. Would be cool if Washington, D.C. got statehood. It is taxation without representation, which I believe we did fight a war over one time. Sign into Bush Talk Radio. Will give us the lady who I'm sure won't have any strong opinions. Sure that it's up. Sure is. We're here. Let's get her going. I don't know what you're gonna call it. We're gonna... This airport is apparently down the road from the Pentagon. I thought the Pentagon would be, like, way more hidden. Apparently not. So this is going to be our first stop. The five-sided Building of Doom.
The Pentagon is the headquarters building of the United States Department of Defense. As a symbol of the U.S. military, the phrase the Pentagon is also often used as a metonym for the Department of Defense and its leadership. Located in Arlington County, Virginia, across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C., the building was designed by American architect George Bergstrom and built by contractor John McShane. Ground was broken on the 11th of September 1941, and the building was dedicated on the 15th of January 1943. General Brehon Somervell provided the major motivating power behind the project. Colonel Leslie Groves was responsible for overseeing the project for the U.S. Army. The Pentagon is the world's largest office building, with about 6,500,000 square feet of floor space, of which 3,700,000 square feet are used as offices. Some 23,000 military and civilian employees, and another 3,000 non-defense support personnel, work in the Pentagon. It has 5 sides, 5 floors above ground, 2 basement levels, and 5 ring corridors per floor, with a total of 17.5 miles of corridors. The central 5-acre pentagonal plaza is nicknamed Ground Zero on the presumption that it would be a prime target in a nuclear war. On the 11th of September 2001, exactly 60 years after the building's construction began, American Airlines Flight 77 was hijacked and flown into the western side of the building, killing 189 people, according to the 9/11 Commission report. It was the first significant foreign attack on Washington's governmental facilities since the city was burned by the British during the War of 1812. The Pentagon is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and is a National Historic Landmark.
All right. I didn't know it was the biggest office building. I bought the map pack for DC. That's why all these buildings look so good. See if there's something in here for Arlington National Cemetery. Yeah, we're in Virginia, and then when we cross the river, we're in DC. But it's all DC.
Arlington National Cemetery is a United States military cemetery in Arlington County, Virginia, across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C., in whose 624 acres the dead of the nation's conflicts have been buried, beginning with the Civil War, as well as reinterred dead from earlier wars. The United States Department of the Army, a component of the United States Department of Defense, controls the cemetery. The National Cemetery was established during the Civil War on the grounds of Arlington House, which had been the estate of Confederate General Robert E. Lee's wife Mary Anna Custis Lee. The cemetery, along with Arlington House, Memorial Drive, the Hemicycle, and the Arlington Memorial Bridge, form the Arlington National Cemetery Historic District, listed on the National Register of Historic Places in April 2014.
Figure out how to work this. Alright, well, I'm fairly certain this is the tomb of the unknown soldier down there. 1000% certain, but I think so? Maybe not. I don't know. I've only seen it in videos. I've never actually seen that one in person. Cruise past Georgetown Hospital. Yeah, Diesel, I was saying earlier how like shocked I was that Ronald Reagan Airport was like so close to the Pentagon. It's like crazy close. Places here are crazy expensive. So you come across this bridge. I'm fairly certain I've been across this bridge several times. Coming up to like Georgetown. I know Diesel used to live here, so if you want to give us any insight, please do. It's weird that they marked a bunch of hospitals here. There's a hospital, yeah. Oh man, if you have anything you want to say about DC, feel free. It's just an option. Let's, you know what? Let's swing the National Mall. We'll come to the National Mall and approach the, like, the actual part of the Lincoln Memorial. National Mall, I do believe, is, like, the spot where Martin Luther King gave the I Have a Dream speech. I could be wrong about that again, but I'm fairly certain that's true. I'm working on a lot of half facts.
On March 30th, 1981, United States President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded by John Hinckley Jr. in Washington, D.C. as he was returning to his limousine after a speaking engagement at the Washington Hilton Hotel. Hinckley believed the attack would impress actress Jodie Foster, with whom he had become obsessed. Reagan was seriously wounded by a .22 long rifle bullet that ricocheted off the side of the presidential limousine and hit him in the left underarm, breaking a rib, puncturing a lung, and causing serious internal bleeding. He was close to death upon arrival at George Washington University Hospital but was stabilized in the emergency room, then underwent emergency exploratory surgery. He recovered and was released from the hospital on April 11th. No formal invocation of presidential succession took place, although Secretary of State Alexander Haig stated that he was in control here while Vice President George H.W. Bush returned to Washington from Fort Worth, Texas. White House Press Secretary James Brady, Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy, and police officer Thomas Delahunty were also wounded. All three survived, but Brady suffered brain damage and was permanently disabled. His death in 2014 was considered a homicide because it was ultimately caused by this injury. A federal judge subpoenaed Foster to testify at Hinckley's trial, and he was found not guilty by reason of insanity on charges of attempting to assassinate the president. Hinckley remained confined to a psychiatric facility. In January 2015, federal prosecutors announced that they would not charge Hinckley with Brady's death, despite the medical examiner's classification of his death as a homicide. He was released from institutional psychiatric care on September 10, 2016.
All right. That was a lot of information. I did not know Jodie Foster played a part in that. All right, so I believe
Capitol Hill, in addition to being a metonym for the United States Congress, is the largest historic residential neighborhood in Washington, D.C., stretching easterly in front of the United States Capitol along wide avenues. It is one of the oldest residential neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., and, with roughly 35,000 people in just under 2 square miles, it is also one of the most densely populated. As a geographic feature, Capitol Hill rises near the center of the District of Columbia and extends eastward. Pierre Charles L'Enfant, as he began to develop his plan for the new federal capital city in 1791, chose to locate the Congress House on the crest of the hill at a site that he characterized as a pedestal waiting for a monument. The Capitol building has been the home of the Congress of the United States and the workplace of many residents of the Capitol Hill neighborhood since 1800. The Capitol Hill neighborhood today straddles 2 quadrants of the city, southeast and northeast. A large portion of the neighborhood is now designated as the Capitol Hill Historic District. The name Capitol Hill is often used to refer to both the historic district and to the larger neighborhood around it. To the east of Capitol Hill lies the Anacostia River, to the north is the H Street Corridor, to the south are the Southeast/Southwest Freeway and the Washington Navy Yard, and to the west are the National Mall and the city's central business district. The Capitol building is surrounded by the Capitol Hill Historic District, which is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Capitol Hill Historic District was expanded in 2015 to the north to include the blocks bordered by 2nd Street, F Street, 4th Street, and just south of H Street, Nebraska, collectively known as the Swampoodle Addition.
Race Division, hello, how are you? So this is the National Mall, and if we keep going this way, we're going to get to the greatest site in U.S. history, of course, as we know it, where Forrest Gump found Jenny after Vietnam. So this is the National Mall, where Trump had the largest inauguration in history. We're gonna pass the Lincoln or the Washington Monument, heading towards the Lincoln Memorial.
The Washington Monument is an obelisk within the National Mall in Washington, D.C., built to commemorate George Washington, once Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army in the American Revolutionary War and the first President of the United States. Located almost due east of the reflecting pool and the Lincoln Memorial, the monument, made of marble, granite, and bluestone gneiss, is both the world's tallest predominantly stone structure and the world's tallest obelisk, standing 554 feet 7 and 11/32 inches tall according to the U.S. National Geodetic Survey, or 555 feet 5 and 1/8 inches tall according to the National Park Service. It is the tallest monumental column in the world if all are measured above their pedestrian entrances. Overtaking the Cologne Cathedral, it was the tallest structure in the world between 1884 and 1889, after which it was overtaken by the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Construction of the monument began in 1848 and was halted for a period of 23 years, from 1854 to 1877 due to a lack of funds, a struggle for control over the Washington National Monument Society, and the American Civil War. Although the stone structure was completed in 1884, internal ironwork, the knoll, and installation of memorial stones were not completed until 1888. A difference in shading of the marble, visible approximately 150 feet or 27% up, shows where construction was halted and later resumed with marble from a different source. The original design was by Robert Mills of South Carolina, but he did not include his proposed colonnade due to a lack of funds, proceeding only with a bare obelisk. The cornerstone was laid on July 4, 1848. The first stone was laid atop the unfinished stump on August 7, 1880. The capstone was set on December 6, 1884. The completed monument was dedicated on February 21, 1885, and officially opened October 9, 1888. The Washington Monument is a hollow Egyptian-style stone obelisk with a 500-foot-tall column surmounted by a 55-foot-tall pyramidion. Its walls are 15 feet thick at its base and 1.5 feet thick at their top. The marble pyramidion has thin walls only 7 inches thick supported by 6 arches, 2 between opposite walls that cross at the center of the pyramidion and 4 smaller corner arches. The top of the pyramidion is a large marble capstone with a small aluminum pyramid at its apex with inscriptions on all 4 sides. The lowest 150 feet of the walls, constructed during the first phase 1848 to 1854, are composed of a pile of bluestone gneiss rubble stones held together by a large amount of mortar with a facade of semi-finished marble stones about 1 1/4 feet thick. The upper 350 feet of the walls, constructed during the second phase 1880 to 1884, are composed of finished marble surface stones, half of which project into the walls, partially backed by finished granite stones. The interior is occupied by iron stairs that spiral up the walls, with an elevator in the center, each supported by 4 iron columns, which do not support the stone structure. The stairs contain 50 sections, most on the north and south walls, with many long landings stretching between them along the east and west walls. These landings allowed many inscribed memorial stones of various materials and sizes to be easily viewed while the stairs were accessible, plus 1 memorial stone between stairs that is difficult to view. The pyramidion has 8 observation windows, 2 per side, and 8 red aircraft warning lights, 2 per side. 2 aluminum lightning rods connected via the elevator support columns to groundwater protect the monument. The monument's present foundation is 37 feet thick, consisting of half of its original bluestone gneiss rubble encased in concrete. At the northeast corner of the foundation, 21 feet below ground, is the marble cornerstone, including a zinc case filled with memorabilia. 50 American flags fly on a large circle of poles centered on the monument. In 2001, a temporary screening facility was added to the entrance to prevent a terrorist attack. An earthquake in 2011 slightly damaged the monument, and it was closed until 2014. It was closed again for elevator system repairs, security upgrades, and mitigation of soil contamination from August 2016 to September 2019.
That was a lot on that. I guess we'll call it an obelisk. I don't know what makes an obelisk from a statue or some tower, but alright. Check out the Lincoln Memorial. I'm just gonna straight up admit this to you guys now. I don't know where the White House is from here. I'm not 100% sure the White House is in the game because I don't know if they want you to know. But this is the water where Forrest and Jenna meet. come up on the Lincoln Memorial. Really? Nothing about the Lincoln Memorial, Dave? There's gotta be something. Just tell me where it is, Candid. You gotta give me like a direction. Right next to Watergate. Well, that doesn't help me. I don't know the geography of where these buildings are. This little building over here intrigues me. What is this thing? That looks cool as shit. North along the river to the Lincoln Memorial. That's the Jefferson Memorial. All right. Jefferson's got some cool ass memorial going on. Let's take another trip down the mall. So I see nothing that could be the Kennedy Center on the left here, so let's head this direction. Assuming it's got to be one of these buildings. A long square building just to the right of it. Well, to be honest with you, these all look like long square buildings. Okay, so here it is. This has got to be it, right here. That's got to be it, right? This thing right here. It's long, it's square. There's a rounded building over here. Nice. All right. Let's figure out where the White House is. Lincoln Memorial. I don't know why it's not saying anything about that. The White House is basically to our east. See if we can trigger the Lincoln Memorial. Hey, Mystic, how's it going? Alright, well, I don't know why that's not triggering, but you know what? I'm pretty sure I can do it myself.
The Lincoln Memorial is a U.S. national memorial built to honor the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. It is on the western end of the National Mall in Washington, D.C., across from the Washington Monument, and is in the form of a neoclassical temple. The memorial's architect was Henry Bacon. The designer of the memorial interior's large central statue, Abraham Lincoln, 1920, was Daniel Chester French. The Lincoln statue was carved by the Piccioli brothers. The painter of the interior murals was Jules Guérin. Dedicated in May 1922, it is one of several memorials built to honor an American president. It has always been a major tourist attraction and since the 1930s has been a symbolic center focused on race relations. The building is in the form of a Greek Doric temple and contains a large seated sculpture of Abraham Lincoln and inscriptions of two well-known speeches by Lincoln, the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address. The memorial has been the site of many famous speeches, including Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, delivered on August 28, 1963, during the rally at the end of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Like other monuments on the National Mall, including the nearby Vietnam Veterans Memorial, Korean War Veterans Memorial, and National World War II Memorial, the memorial is administered by the National Park Service under its National Mall and Memorial Parks Group. It has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places since October 15, 1966, and was ranked 7th on the American Institute of Architects' 2007 list of America's favorite architecture. The memorial is open to the public 24 hours a day, and more than 7 million people visit it annually.
Let's find this White House. So it's like kind of like a hard left here. Where is the people's house? Where? Oh, that's gotta be it right there, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely is.
The White House is the official residence and workplace of the President of the United States. It is located at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest in Washington, D.C., and has been the residence of every U.S. president since John Adams in 1800. The term White House is often used as a metonym for the president and their advisors. The residence was designed by Irish-born architect James Hoban in the neoclassical style. Hoban modelled the building on Leinster House in Dublin, a building which today houses the Oireachtas, the Irish legislature. Construction took place between 1792 and 1800 using Aquia Creek sandstone painted white. When Thomas Jefferson moved into the house in 1801, he added low colonnades on each wing that concealed stables and storage. In 1814, during the
they
War
put
of
Marine
1812,
One down there.
the mansion was set ablaze by the British Army in the burning of Washington, destroying
really
the
cool.
interior and charring much of the exterior. Reconstruction began almost immediately, and President James Monroe moved into the partially reconstructed executive residence in October 1817. Exterior construction continued with the addition of the semicircular south portico in 1824 and the north portico in 1829. Because of crowding within the executive mansion itself, President Theodore Roosevelt had all work offices relocated to the newly constructed West Wing in 1901. 8 years later, in 1909, President
West
William
Wing.
Howard Taft expanded the West Wing and created the first Oval Office, which was eventually moved as the section was expanded. In the main mansion, the third-floor attic was converted to living quarters in 1927 by augmenting the existing hip roof with long shed dormers. A newly constructed East Wing was used as a reception area for social events. Jefferson's
where you go to
colonnades
party.
connected the new wings. East Wing alterations were completed in 1946, creating additional office space. By 1948, the residence's load-bearing exterior walls and internal wood beams were found to be close to failure. Under Harry S. Truman, the interior rooms were completely dismantled and a new internal load-bearing steel frame constructed inside the walls. Once this work was completed, the interior rooms were rebuilt. The modern-day White House complex includes the Executive Residence, West Wing, East Wing, the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, the former State Department, which now houses offices for the President's staff and the Vice President, and Blair House, a guest residence. The Executive Residence is made up of 6 stories, the ground floor, state floor, second floor, and third floor, as well as a 2-story basement. The property is a National Heritage Site owned by the National Park Service and is part of the President's Park. In 2007, it was ranked second on the American Institute of Architects' list of America's favorite architecture.
It's pretty cool. I've never been to the White House. Never been there. Not much more to DC. I mean, there is. Like, DC's an awesome city, but there's like not a lot else government building, like, so we can just kind of fly around, see what's what. DC is a big, big place, guys. Just, it's one of those places where like the suburbs also count as the city, you know? So it's just like super, super big. I want to see what this like giant thing in the distance is. Yeah, DC can get super muggy in the summer. It's one of those places where like in the winter it can snow and then in the summer it can be unbearable. I've heard the public transportation is very good. I haven't, well, I don't know about never, but I haven't been on it in a long time. What is this thing where it looks like a castle? Does anyone know what we're flying to? This is not Baltimore. What is this? It looks like a church type thing. Does anyone know what this is? It looks like a freaking Harry Potter school. Yeah, I was thinking university too, just because of the like the playing fields next to it. See if there's any like landmark things we missed here. Not really. Got pretty much everything in the area. Could be Maryland. Just like a marina? What is the anchor symbol? It's another hospital. Okay. A lot of hospitals. It's nice. Good to have. This bit earlier, you were saying you could never do this flight in real life, and you are 1,000% correct. My God, could you not do this in real life? You would be shot down so fast. That is the Georgetown area. I went to a bar in Georgetown once, but that's about it. I have cousins who live in DC, so I've been there like a fair amount. But I've mostly gone to like the Smithsonian and shit like that. Let's bring it in for a landing and we can explore some planes. Like, it blows my mind how close the Pentagon is to this. Yeah, my aunt and uncle live in Alexandria, or well, Old Town Alexandria, which is like, I mean, those homes are like super expensive. It's like rich. Was that the runway? This is looking like a nice little runway to me. And then my cousins lived more in like DC proper. So these are white and red lights, not quite poppy lights. But you know what? Plane this size, we should be able to manage this. This should be in our wheelhouse. Oh, they are poppy lights. And there's 5 of them? They're all red, so we're too low. That's nice. We're gonna line ourselves up. Attempt to line ourselves up anyway. Got plenty of runway. Arlington is not cheap. None of this is cheap. Nothing you see here is cheap, including the plane. Well, that was a little harder than we probably wanted. But not bad. And we landed. Everything's off. Maybe. Let's see. Inoperable. Ignition off. Right hand ignition off. Everything is off. Is there a battery? If there is, I don't know where it's at. Alright, fair enough. Knuckles says the lights are set up for viewing from the cockpit from the oh god, reading, Greg. Sorry, reading. The lights are set up for viewing from the cockpit of a B737 or A320. But since your plane is lower, it'll be all red when you're on the glide slope. Okay.